Hello and welcome. In this lecture video, I'm going to go back over the cost reconciliation formula in a little bit more detail and also summarize the steps in process costing, just kind of do a summary. And then also we'll do some additional practice problems. So if we look over here at our cost reconciliation formula, this is on page 158 of your course pack. You can see the cost reconciliation formula has the cost in beginning with plus additional costs incurred will equal the cost of the units transferred out plus the cost of units in ending with. So with respect to this problem, our 11,900 was our cost in beginning with, which we got from right here. This was our cost added, so we had total cost to be accounted for when we added these two of 226,400. That will equal the cost of the units transferred out plus the cost of the units in ending with. So it's the same idea of the unit reconciliation, but it's for cost. Looking over here at the next page on basic steps in costing summary, the first step would be to make sure, go back through and do an account for the number of physical units. The number of units at the beginning of the period, which is beginning with, plus the units started, should equal the number of units that have been completed during the accounting period plus the units in ending with. Okay? This is the unit reconciliation formula. Remember? Formula. Unit reconciliation formula. The next step will be to go through and calculate the cost per equivalent unit for materials, labor, and overhead. Remember, those two added together is conversion. The way that we calculate the cost per unit, or the average cost per unit, cost per equivalent unit, all the same thing, is we take our cost in beginning with plus additional costs incurred divided by the units completed plus the equivalent full units in ending with. The next thing that we do is after we have calculated our cost per unit, we then multiply our cost per unit times the number of units completed, and then that gives us the cost of goods manufactured. And then what we can do is also calculate the cost of our units in ending with, which would be equal to the cost per unit with respect to materials times the equivalent full units in ending with respect to materials, plus the cost per unit with respect to conversion times the equivalent full units in ending with respect to conversion. Then we would add those two together, and then that would give us a total value of ending with. Okay? And then we can then look at our cost reconciliation formula, which I just talked about. We can make sure that our cost in beginning with plus any additional costs incurred equals the cost of ending with plus the cost of the units completed. So now we have on page 160 and 161 some additional process costing problems. So what I want you to do is pause the lecture video and go through and do these additional problems, and then we'll come back and we'll check it. Okay, so let's take a look to see how you did. So with the first one, it says a company uses process costing that has 1,000 units in ending work in process that are 100% complete with respect to materials, 80% complete with respect to conversion. The cost per unit for inventory, the cost per unit is $2.15 for materials, $1.65 for conversion. What is the cost of ending work in process? So in this case, this one's a little bit easier. The right answer is A, by the way. So we have 1,000 units in ending with. They're 100% complete with respect to materials. So that means 1,000 times 1 gives us 1,000 units in ending with, equivalent full units in ending with respect to materials. 80% complete with respect to conversion times the 1,000 gives us the 800, which is the equivalent full units in ending with respect to conversion. Then we're given our cost per unit for materials, $2.15. Our cost per unit for conversion, $1.65. You multiply those two. This is the cost of ending WIP with respect to materials, cost of ending WIP with respect to conversion. You add the two together, $34.70 is the right answer. The next one, our company uses a process costing system. We have a stacking department, has no beginning WIP. The department added materials of $200,000, conversion costs of $321.3 during the period. Materials are added at the beginning of the process. Conversion costs are added evenly throughout the process. During the period, 75,000 units were completed, and at the end we had 5,000 units in ending work in process, and they were 30% complete. What is the cost of the units finished? That's what this is asking for. How much was transferred to finished goods? Well, basically, I'm saying, what's the cost of the completed units, or the cost of the units finished? That's what that's asking. So the first thing is we have to figure out our cost, right? So we have to do it separately for materials and separately for conversion because we have different percent completes, okay? So we come over here and we have our $200,000 of materials costs. And then it says right over here, materials are added at the beginning of the period. So that means we are 100% complete in ending WIP with respect to materials. So I have my 75,000 units that I completed, plus my 5,000 units in ending WIP, times 1, because it's 100% complete, gives me the 80,000. I divide it, that gives me $2.15 is my cost per unit with respect to materials. With conversion, I take my total conversion cost. Now I have no beginning WIP costs in this problem. So if you're following along with the formula, it's really 0 plus 200,000. You don't have to put the 0 there. If you're following the formula strictly, beginning WIP is 0 because we're told they have no beginning WIP inventory. But going back to conversion, we have the same thing. Conversion cost $321,300 was the conversion cost added, plus 0 beginning WIP. That divided by our 75,000 units that we completed, plus we have 5,000 units of ending WIP, but they are 30% complete with respect to conversion. It doesn't say with respect to conversion here, but that's the only other cost. Materials is the other cost, but materials is 100% done. So this must mean with respect to conversion. So 5,000 times the 0.3 gives us 1,500. 321,300 divided by my 76,500 gives me $4.20. I add the two, $6.70, and then I say, well, how many units did I transfer out or finish? 75,000 times my $6.70, 502,500. That is the right answer. The next problem, our company uses a process costing system. During August, the mixing department transferred out 65,000 units. On August 31st, the mixing department held 22,000 equivalent units of material, 20,150 of conversion costs, which is labor plus overhead. The cost per unit, $5.50 for materials, $5 for conversion. Okay? So, how much was the total balance in work in process on August 31st? This is basically a different way of asking you, what is the value of ending WIP? How do I know that? Because it's saying at the end of the month. Okay? So we have to come over here and they say, in this one, we're telling you we have 22,000 equivalent full units. And then 20,150 equivalent full units. So all you have to do is multiply the 20,150 times the 5, which is the cost per unit for conversion. Gives you the ending WIP with respect to conversion. 22,000 times 550 ending WIP with respect to materials. Add those two together, 221,750 is the right answer, which is the total value of ending WIP. Okay? And then the last one, when you look over here, Cheeseheads uses a process costing system. Beginning WIP consisted of 16,000 units, which were 100% complete with respect to materials, 20% complete with respect to conversion. Ending WIP consisted of 12,000 units, which were 100% complete with respect to materials, 50% complete with respect to conversion. The total cost in beginning inventory was 65,000. Additional 2,7,400 was added. During the month, 62,000 units were transferred out. I need to know that because I'm being asked, what's the total cost of those units being transferred out? So there's a lot going on in this problem. And there's a lot that you don't need to solve the problem. All you need to know how many units were transferred out, because I'm asking what's the total cost of the units transferred out. How many units were transferred out? What's the cost per unit? Well, $1.50 for materials, $3.30 for conversion, $4.80 total. Number of units transferred out times 480, 297, 600. So, there was a lot going on in this problem that you didn't need to deal with because this was given to you. Okay? So sometimes don't make the problems harder than they need to be. Again, when we're trying to figure out what's the cost of the units transferred out, the number of units times the cost per unit, which is just given to you right there. Okay? This ends the Chapter 20 lecture videos. Thank you so much.